Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we will explore the cause and effect of just saying yes in your everyday life or in business. I will dig into topics that are not just stimulating, but will challenge you to be better in everything you do. The podcast is based on the simplicity of saying yes to opportunities you might encounter every single day. I'm your host, Jim Riley. Join me in my first series titled Blue Collar Redefined. All right, well, welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. So glad that you tuned in. I appreciate all the comments the last week. I know I always say that, but sometimes you wonder if anybody's listening, and I believe that you are based on your comments. So thank you for that. We're going to take a little different twist and direction today, a different type of the Answer is Yes. And I've got a very interesting guest on. His name is Orest the K-Man. You're on the line right now, aren't you, Orest?
Yes, I am right here, ready to go.
Hey, I got to tell you that I get a lot of people that email me about my show and their own show, and they want to be a guest and stuff like that, which is really a nice compliment. But when I saw old guys in the title, I thought, I got to talk to this guy. So would you mind, for the benefit of my listeners, give us a little background on yourself and why I found it so interesting to answer the request from you?
Okay. Well, first of all, let me start. I'm 67 years old, so I'm definitely a old guy. And not only that, but I'm government certified. And what that means is I actually have a Medicare card. And so it's official government. And I've been in dentistry. I used to be a periodontist for about 33 years, and I got married when I was in my 40s. And have had a lot of experiences. I've had the opportunity to see a lot of things, do a lot of things, and I've been up Kilimanjaro. I've been down the Colorado River. I've been hiking in Iceland and down in New Zealand. Have had an opportunity to have a lot of wonderful experiences throughout my life. And at this point, my mission, since I left my dental practice a little bit over a year ago, is to help older guys create kick-ass lives for themselves and those that they love. And just go talk about virtues and vices. So I spent a lot of time discussing things in the anti-aging space, relationships, cigars, scotch. I have a great video if you don't know how to cut a cigar properly or light one properly. There's a whole ritual that goes around to how to do that properly. So I've been doing have had a lot of interesting things I got to be very, very grateful for. A full life, and I still continue to expect to have many more years of it, since my gene pool is such that no one has died of natural causes before the age of 90.
Wow!
And they were all hardcore drinking moonshine, or what would be considered moonshine in Europe, and smoking filterless cigarettes.
So it sounds like you and your family are professionals in the virtues and vices category.
Yeah. I'm not sure which category more than the other.
Well, I want to have some fun. I want to have some fun with you and talk about old guys and old ladies to a degree. And I know I've got a few older listeners here that will certainly appreciate this show. If you're younger, sorry, I apologize. We're going to take a time out on this one to talk about old people. But
Jim, they'll be there soon enough.
Yeah, right. Everybody gets there. In the spirit of the show, though, and the answer is yes. You had a long dentistry career. Can you tell us how you got started in that and why? Because if I'm reading this correctly, and I had to look it up because I'm not going to claim to know everything, but you specialize in gum diseases, right? Is that what your specialty was?
Gum disease and dental implants.
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so when I go into the dentist and they're flossing me and they're like, hey, your gums are bleeding a lot, which is probably one of the grosser things besides plaque and all the other stuff, I guess. You're the guy that's going to tell me what's wrong with my gums.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
I'm the one who's going to tell you what's wrong with your gums. I'm the one who's going to actually, more likely than not, be the one who gives you lots of bad news.
Yeah.
Because when people show up in my office, they have years and years unmet dental needs. And so usually we're not talking about we're not talking about just like a little tune-up. We're talking about a rebuild.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So I cut you off. How did you get started in that, and what led to you wanting to go into that career choice early on?
Yeah, well, I was going to school, and then I graduated, and I wasn't doing very much. And at that point, and it still is very, very hard to get in sort of any kind of professional school. And so I was bartending, and I'll tell you, that was a fun period of my life. I don't know if you ever bartended or worked in the restaurant field, but and it's easy to get trapped. It's easy to get trapped in that lifestyle because it's so much fun. I mean, it really is. There's not a lot of care, especially when you're younger. But I realized, I looked around, I saw people that were much older than me, and I said, I don't think I want to be doing this at their age. And so I started looking around things that I could get in. And so I had gotten into basically I had filled out my applications for law school and dental school, and I got accepted at both. And what I realized was that I'm dyslexic, so that means I can't spell or punctuate. And this was before you had Word to correct you all the time. So probably law school was probably not a very good idea. So I decided to go to dentistry, and that's how I ended up in dentistry. And so it was a good deal. It was actually I'm very grateful for the experience because I got one of the things you talk about saying yes. I remember this moment because this was like the first week of school, and we were sitting in a class meeting, and somebody said, we need to have somebody to be class president. And I'll always remember his name was Jay Bonner. Looked down the row, and he said, "You." I go, "No." He said, "You." No. And I raised my hand, and fine. And the next thing you know, I'm class president. But that opened up a lot of interesting experiences for me in the future, including being the representative for government relations for the American Student Dental Association, which took me to Washington, D.C. I actually testified before Congress, and it created a lot of experiences I would never have had I not said yes in that one moment where the door opened, and had I not said yes, the door would have closed.
Yeah. Well, there's certainly a lot of rewards for being open to, potential opportunities by saying yes. That sounds like an incredible opportunity itself.
Yeah, it was. I got the chance to do so many things, meet so many different people, and participate in so many events that would not have been open to me had I not done that. Mm-hmm. And so it was, sometimes it's just the little things that you don't know that you say yes to that open up doors that you can't see. You don't even know what's there. You don't even know what's beyond the door.
Well, and I think that's one of our consistent messages on this show is being open to saying yes to things because of the opportunities that are on the other side of that door. It's like, the price is right. What's behind door number 3? You don't know until you pick it. But, and I think through our stories that we share within our own lives, what's happened by saying yes, if it feels good and the stars are aligned, what's the harm in going for it, because there's always recovery, and if it succeeds or if it's the right thing, then you've got a story or you've got success behind that yes.
Yeah. One of the things I tell my kids now, because they've got a pretty good head on their shoulders, and one of the things I say, if you hear a voice in your head, it's not going to be a loud voice. It's just going to be kind of like to go do something. Go do it.
Yeah.
Go follow your instincts. And, as I've gotten older, I've learned to listen to that voice. And it's taken me to interesting places where I wowould never have gotten to, or I wouldn't have learned something. I wouldn't have met someone had I not done that.
Yeah, sure.
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't know. They go like, well, how'd you do all this? Well, part of it is being constantly in a state of action. And that's how you end up meeting people along the way who can maybe guide you or be of assistance, or you may be guiding them. But it's just by being in a constant state of action and not just sitting there. The world is not going to come to you. It's you got to get out there in the world and kind of, the more action that you're involved in, the higher likelihood you are of reaching, doing the things that you want to do.
I like how you say that, because in my world, in the beer and wine business, we're not going to sell beer and wine unless we're out in the field, hitting the streets, and, as you call it, a constant state of action, right? That's where you're meeting people, and the opportunities reveal themselves when you're out. You're home sitting on the couch eating popcorn. You're not going to find the opportunities that way. So the constant state of action, I really like that statement. Hey, let me ask you something before we get too far into the old guy stuff here in a second.
Okay.
What advice would you have for a younger audience? We'll give them some value on this show. A younger audience that wants to get into dentistry. I mean, I know you were in it long enough, 33 years, that certainly that business transitioned over those years. But what would you say to somebody that wants to get into it now?
Oh, gosh, you're putting me on the spot here, Jim. I have this belief, and it's a sad belief. If you have a family member you want to take over for or whatever, I think that's a great deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm of the position that in many ways the professions are dead from what we used to know.
Mm-hmm.
And most of probably the biggest example would be not necessarily in dentistry, because dentistry has always been behind medicine. But now many physicians or physicians group have been bought by, let's say, private equity companies. And so these physicians are now employees, and they have to run schedules. They have to hit certain targets and certain numbers. And so it's not like it used to be where, you were your own boss and things like that. I mean, that's still possible in certain areas, but for a lot of them, that's not the case. And a lot of people are transitioning out because they don't enjoy it because of the structure. And so I'm not so sure that the $500,000 or $700,000 of investment to get through dental school is worth it these days.
Mm-hmm.
To
Interesting.
be honest. I mean, I don't know if that was the answer you were expecting, but I just look at that and I'm going like, buy a couple of Subways or something with that money. And start building your empire that way.
Yeah.
And there's some people that just love it, and I would not take away from them. And God bless them, but it's a very, very different environment now that it's become very corporate in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So the individual practitioner is actually becoming a dying breed of person.
Sure. Well, my teeth are feeling the effects of your answer, because now I'm going to be worried about where I'm going to get dental work from in 20 years as they're all falling out. But the answer that I wanted was the honest answer, and you gave that to me. So I really do appreciate that. I know our listeners do too, because oftentimes I think our guests are so passionate about the careers that they pick that that's the answer they're going to give. But sometimes the reality is it just is not. It's not good anymore. It's not exciting anymore. It's not profitable anymore. There's a lot of factors. As an example, my dad was a sheriff's officer, and when I turned 18, I wanted to go into the academy. He says, "Jim, it's not the same as it used to be. Do not do it." And I didn't. I maintained my career at In-N-Out Burger at the time. So, no, I appreciate that answer. So, speaking of In-N-Out, let's talk about virtues and vices. When I first got you on the phone, I asked you what are some of the things you've been talking about, and you gave me a whole list of crazy stuff. I don't know if we want to go into all those things, but virtues and vices sound fun.
Okay. Well, we can go as far or we can go as deep or as you want. So virtues and vices, it's really about having balance in your life between the two, because you need both. And a lot of them has to do with, one, maintaining good relationships in your family. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the key things, especially with your significant other. And I think the next thing that falls in the line is to maintain